I've got my favorite high-vis Sprite sweater on, complete with a full Velcro pocket. I feel like more clothes should have Velcro on them these days. Anyway, Velcro pants. Anyway, today we're looking at this Apple IIe with an Apple IIIe monitor. What's interesting about this computer is it came to me from a friend of my dad's who works at the CDC, and this is the original computer he bought when he was in college learning journalism. And so he did all of his assignments on this thing and spent quite a bit of time in storage, I believe, in his garage amongst According to him, though, it still works. He had it on. He was using the disk 2 drive on his. It's promising, although I do want to use this video to kind of look through a little bit of a checklist on things that you should do before powering up an old computer like this. This one is especially old. So basically, this group of things was $1,995 in 1983, or basically like 5,121 according to the Wikipedia article in current money, which in Canadian dollars is basically $6,500. So if you could imagine yourself spending $6,500 to get your hands on this lovely computer, this wonderful monitor, a plastic stand, and a disk drive with a couple extra cards inside, $6,500. Kind of makes you think about MacBooks right now and how some of the latest Intel MacBooks were upwards of 5,000 Canadian dollars. Are we gonna laugh at that in the future? Probably. But for now, let's laugh at this. It's a super basic computer, so there's not going to be a ton of capacitors to really worry about, mostly just in the power supply. And other than that, maybe we'll wipe her down. Yes! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, slick your hair, wipe the macaroni off your shirt, and call your dad, because it's time to open up this IIe. I'd also like to just shout out the 900 other voiceover takes that I've done to this video that usually ended up with me garbling and nonsense at the end. Anyway, let's take a close-up look at this motherboard. So, heavy amount of chips, as is custom for the era, something I really appreciate about these old computers. The other thing, too, that I like about really old PCs are the expansion cards. So you'd buy, basically, a PC that had base functions. It was a PC that worked, but it didn't have any other special things. So if you wanted to print, if you wanted more columns on the screen, if you wanted to use a disk drive, you had to buy the appropriate expansion card that would control each of those functions. But I just found that very interesting as compared to now, where computers come with all these different things. A lot of the things that were controlled by hardware back in the day would be apps now. You know what I mean? Mamma mia, the modern world is so shocking. So taking this case off is actually a bit of a pain. Unlike most computers, you have to unscrew it from the bottom and then hold it in place as you tilt the thing back over right side up, and then slide the case off over top. You know, getting the case off lets us get a better look at all the dirt, but it also lets us get access to the power supply. And that little connector we saw there is the one that I have to remove to get the power supply out. Got to remove that card, the grappler card I just showed. So, 4 screws on the bottom, power supply is loose. I can now access that connector because I removed the card that was in the way, the grappler card. So with the power supply out, it is 5 screws on each side for a total of 10 to get access to the internals. A little bit of prying. So here's a first look at the power supply internals. It looks like most of the capacitors truly aren't that bad. These ones look brand new almost, both the ones at the front and the back. And the RIFA didn't look bad at all. It is something I'd still want to replace down the road, but truly it looks great for its age. Much like Helen Mirren. Otherwise, this power supply is looking to be in tip-top shape. None of those caps have any leaking or bulging. Yes! So let's throw the lid back on and roll the dice of life.
And I'm not going to show all 10 screws going on. But we will show screws coming out of the keyboard, so we can move it out of the way. And now it's time for cleanup. Time to vacuum all that dust out of the case, off the PCB. We're not removing the motherboard because, again, this is a very old computer, and I know that it was working, and I do want it to work for this video. So, we're not going to risk it here right now. But we are going to clean up everything above, around, and as much below as we can. So it's a bit of a tedious process to vacuum out a computer, but it is one that is necessary in my opinion. Keeping things clean is important, especially with electronics. I actually had a commenter ask what kind of vacuum I use, and I'm proud to say that it is a Eureka, but I don't actually know what type. Technically, it is in the closet, which is only about a 4-second walk from where I'm standing, but I feel too engaged in this voiceover right now. It is one of the ones, though, where a tornado is created within the canister, which can be easily removed to pop the bottom open and remove the waste. Much like me when I'm in a living room. Hey! When I have to go to the bathroom, you just pop the bottom open and remove the waste. Actually, I shouldn't say remove. I should say, like, dump the waste. Because you do dump the waste out of the garbage can, but removing waste from a human sounds like you're pulling it out. Alright, time to clean up this keyboard. Now, I didn't want to get crazy with this keyboard just because of the age. Any sort of rubber or plastic that could snap, I was not willing to risk. So I cleaned up dust from the keys. And we placed her back into the case. Just really working that cable there. Oh yeah. Don't forget about me, girl. That's what that little gesture said. Alright, secure the keyboard in place with 4 screws. And then address the printer cable. That is next on the list. So the printer cable is just a very rudimentary group of cables with a sheath that's held on in place with a metal bracket. Unfortunately, the sheath had come loose from the bracket, and it was just kind of hanging. So, I pushed the sheath back onto it, as you can see here, and tightened it up. Tighten it up, and put it back inside. Tighten that up. Hey, let's just focus for the people. There it is. All done. So let's plug that power supply back in. Tilt this mother up on its side and secure it with 4 screws. And we're at the point where the case can go back on, so after kind of wiggling it around a bit, found the right spot, and then tilted it on its side, as you must do with almost everything with this case. I guess you can see why they don't do that anymore. Yeah, so continuing the cleaning thing, I'm going to display this dirt, kind of like Vanna White, but I'd like to show you how to display with your wrists. Have you ever displayed with your wrists before? Point with your wrist, young lad. Winslow agrees. He was so invested in my wrist pointing, he came to investigate. And when you're cleaning up one side, you may as well clean the whole dang thing. Even if you don't see the dirt, you're still removing it. So give everything a nice wipe. A little bit of Windex sprayed on a piece of paper towel, obviously away from the motherboard. And then the lid. So the lid had a couple challenges. It had this dirt at the top, which we're working right now, and then that, at least it's an era-specific Apple sticker. The sticker was coming off, though, and it had faded, so I wanted to get rid of it. It did leave quite a bit of residue, though, so after numerous attempts to remove it with Windex, and then isopropyl alcohol, and then lighter fluid, I finally got the consistency to a place where I could smudge it off with my fingers. And here you can see, this is all the gunk going. And with most of the gunk removed, you just want to hit it a couple more times. Make sure everything's nice and clean and smooth. And then sadly, there was one little spot that I really couldn't do much about on the case, right here. I tried my fingers, I tried lighter fluid, tried isopropyl alcohol. Unfortunately, nothing seemed to do the job. But it does look a lot better than before, so here we go. And we have life. This is an unfortunate development, however. The disk drive is stuck on read, and there is no disk inside. Yeah. Let's just turn that off. One of my cats is sitting in my chair, so I'm sitting on a tub of unused cat litter. So that's about it. We're not going to go much further than this. There's obviously a problem with the disk drive as it is reading in use when there is no disk inside it and making a very annoying sound. And annoying sounds on machines this old are quite loud. So it's not like it would be fun to use this with the disk drive going off like that. Other than that, it looks like a pretty solid machine. None of the capacitors in the power supply look bad. The RIFA capacitors, which are ones that I've read online are known to blow and make a horrible smell, those ones looked okay. I'd still probably want to change those down the road. Otherwise, we got a working monitor, working machine, a working shelf, and a disk drive that is not loving life. So that's it. I'm the Canadian Computer Collector. Treat your electronics with respect, and they too will treat you with and by the way, my dishwasher broke this week, so